What's going on? This is Deke, and the MLS is here. We finally made it. My gallery is very MLS specific, and this weekend we finally are here to use the cards. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited for the MLS. Behind me here is what I post on Twitter, so if you don't follow me on Twitter, definitely take a look. These are kind of my rough drafts. I am editing them as they go, and then I'll post my final lineup predictions. So I have every team in percentage here. That is the percent chance to win. So in the MLS, it is very important to have home field advantage. With all the travel, if you're not familiar with the U.S. being very large, if you're going from like Philadelphia to Los Angeles, that's a long ride, and it can take a toll on you, especially with some of the competitions with the Leagues Cup this year, all these different things going on. Travel is huge. So home teams are going to be favored. And the matchup base, if you could take a look on Sorare data, you're going to see that home teams are going to be scoring a lot more fantasy points on Sorare. So this video is just on game week 1. And we're going to take a look at teams that are in good matchups, who are underpriced players that could have a ceiling game in these opportunities. So what I basically am going to do is find players in good matchups and try and keep them cheap. So goalies and forwards are more expensive just because, you know, they are. But as far as defense and midfield, I found some players that are less than 0.01 at the limited version. So let's jump right into it. Our two goaltenders. First one is going to be Brad Stewart for Austin FC. So Brad Stewart is in a great situation. They play new expansion team, St. Louis City. Don't know what to expect from them. I don't think St. Louis City is going to be very good this year, in my opinion. I think they will be at the bottom of the Western Conference. But I think they can build off this season. I don't think they're as highly touted as some of the other expansion clubs. And I really just kind of, I didn't try to make this video to do multiple matchups. Austin's one of the best teams, and they do have Montreal, who I don't think is going to be very good as well, as their second matchup. Then they take a trip to Real Salt Lake, another nice matchup against at Houston, it's on the road, and then Colorado at home. So a very favorable first 5 stretch. You take a look at his scores here, and I'm going to just sort by home because that's where we're looking for. Home in the MLS is huge. So you can see here, he doesn't have the biggest home splits compared to some of the other ones, but he has some high scores. I don't think he'll be very busy as far as, you know, against the team, but I think a clean sheet is in the midst. And if you take a look at his price, he is one of the, I guess he's a little bit more expensive, but goalkeepers are expensive. So he's coming in around $63. And if you're looking for a great guy to just have for the whole season, Austin FC is going to be one of the better teams. So Brad Stewart is going to be my first one. Next one is Brad Guzan. So we're going to go with 2 guys. This should be his last season, so be very wary of that. He comes in just under $40, 0.0246. He also has that 0 in the L15. He was out last year. He will be the starter for Atlanta. And if you're looking to play some of these cap modes, he is a cheat code with some of the other zeros. John McCarthy would be another one who's low as well. But I went with Brad Guzan. So he hasn't played, but we're going to open up our reach a little bit further. So I know this isn't the same Atlanta United team that he always was, but Brad Guzan was a very good keeper. Atlanta was a little bit better back then. But look at all these amazing scores further out. And he has a matchup against San Jose at home. San Jose has to come across the country in their first match, and you know, I don't think San Jose is going to be great. I do think they have some promising players that in good spots are definitely worth playing. But you just take a look. Toronto will be better, but they are at home as well. At Charlotte, home. Portland coming across the country. So as far as Brad Guzan, I think you can't go wrong. And with these two goalies, basically you're hoping a clean sheet. But the MLS scores so many goals that I wouldn't be surprised if neither keep a clean sheet. But they are both favored to win. He hasn't played in a while, but he should be the starter between the sticks, and I think Brad Guzan's a good shout. Let's stay with Atlanta United, and let's go with Andrew Gutman. So he is interesting because he is only $10, and if we take a look at his scores, he has some really nice scores once they pop up as far as ceiling games. So hopefully this loads for us. There we go. As far as ceiling games, so if you just look at like last season as a left back, he does put up decisives, but look at this 100 that he put up, 42.76 AA. He puts up some nice, solid AA games, but I think this is an opportunity where he could get a decisive playing at home. And if we just go to the homes as it finally loads up, a couple 60s, and I think you could see a 60 from a guy that is very cheap. His L15 is 55, and his L5 is 67. So it's not like you could play him in capped, free of charge, but just judging by his price, he is less than 0.01, and I think he is a great shout if you're looking for a defender in this range. I do have 3 defenders, 3 midfields, and we're going to stick with Philadelphia Union. So Iviso, and he is the right back, and he should be the starter at right back, and he is only $5. And you can see kind of his prices. Philadelphia Union, one of the best defenses, one of the best teams in the league, and they keep clean sheets. That's basically what they do. They keep clean sheets, and he's going to get that AA because of that. If we take a look, at his games, he does have some decisive actions here and there, especially 3 in a row right here, and he does put up some nice AA for a back line that everyone's kind of looking at Kai Wagner, Elliott, and Glesnes, and he kind of gets forgotten, and his price compared to the other guys is super cheap. So for that, you can't really go wrong as far as defense on a team that should win against Columbus. I do think they will get the job done at home. And the last one is Nohu Tolo, and he plays for the Seattle Sounders, who are playing, and he's under $5, which, again, these guys are super cheap that you can still get at a limited price, and they're playing Colorado in a great matchup at home. Colorado is having some goaltending issues. Don't know if Yarbrough is going to start or Illich is going to be there, and then they have Real Salt Lake at home, which home matches are going to be great this year. Seattle struggled a little bit. They won the Champions League, the CONCACAF Champions League, and they did not do well. They didn't make the playoffs in the West. I think it was just fixtures, injuries, things like that. I think they're going to be a lot better this year. So let's just take a look at his home. And again, with MLS, Sorare data is great to use the home-away splits. He does have some really nice games. So honestly, 95, 94, and 81 and 64 there, all great games. And I really think he can put up an upside game in what should be a clean sheet, could be a clean sheet. I never want to say should be in the MLS because, Rubio could score, and Colorado does have a decent attack. So I do think at under $5 like the other guys, he's a good shout, and he's 25 years old, so he's kind of in his prime. And he's going to be an odds-on starter for a really good team. So a lot of these guys, you can kind of play throughout the season because they're going to be in good matchups because they play on good teams. Atlanta United, not so much. Some of the other guys, not so much. But speaking of which, let's go back to Atlanta United. And let's go to Roseto. So I wanted to include him. He doesn't have the most upside in the world, but he is $1.50. So if you're looking for someone to play, not only is he under 0.01, he is 0.0009. You can maybe even offer and get him for less. It's crazy how cheap he is. He isn't going to have that upside, so as you can see from his scores, and you could play him in capped at 37. But he does have 65, 63, 67, 62s in him. I think this is as good as an opportunity as Atlanta United is going to have all year, facing San Jose in the opener coming cross country. Again, like I said, I think it's a great matchup, and I think he could put an upside game. As far as at that price, you can't really go worse with that. And our last, no, sorry, I got 2 left. I got another one from Philadelphia United, Jose Martinez. So he is kind of their defensive midfielder. He flies on the ball. He makes crunching challenges, great tackles, and again, Columbus and throughout the season. Take a look at him. I was really surprised at his price whenever I was kind of looking through. $5.50, 0.0034. And he does put up some scores, but he's kind of forgotten about. As far as Philadelphia, they have so many pieces that you kind of forget. If you had a stack for Philadelphia Union throughout the year, you made card rewards every time because you could just stack them. And while he isn't the most upside guy, he had an assist here. He is going to get yellow cards. You're just going to have to accept that. He is going to have yellow cards that bumps his scores down, but he's going to be in that 50-plus range. And I think in this matchup, he could be closer to the 60-ish range, which at that price, why not? You throw some 60s together, especially if you can get them fitted in your cap for very cheap. You might earn like that $5 back pretty soon. And then the last one, this is a guy that I think, as far as this season, Seattle, I'm higher than most. He's less than 0.01, which is kind of my midfield and defense, what I was going for. At coming in at $13 is Rusnak for Seattle. Another guy that he is a Swiss Army knife. He can play all over. I think he will start the season as a defensive mid kind of area. He does take set pieces at times. It just depends who's on the field. And don't be kind of discouraged by some of the lower scores. Let's just look at his home. And if you take a look here, he had some really nice scores. He was a lot better earlier in his career. Let's do that. Let's go to his all. If you take a look at his all home, look at all those green scores. I know it's kind of a little bit different, but if you look at his age, he's only 28. So it's not like he's past his prime. He should be getting into his prime, really. And I do think he can. This might be his breakout year. So this is one guy that I think could be a real stud. Just looking back, look at all these high scores. And for his rare, you can get him under 0.1 for his rare as well, $156. But at $13, I think he is an absolute steal. Moving forward in this matchup against Colorado as one of a playoff team, you could say. I even will go on and say I think they finished top 3 this year. I'm very high on Seattle, a little bit higher than maybe most are. I think they're going to have a bounce back year. I think they finished 11th, around that range last year, and I think Rusnak is going to be a reason why. Let's get to our forwards. So forwards, a little bit tougher to get steals, and we're going to be slightly over the 0.01. Let's go with Paul Arriola. So FC Dallas, everyone knows Alan Velasco, everyone knows Jesus Ferreira, but they don't know the right winger as much, Paul Arriola. He is American. He has some caps with the U.S., but as far as his price, he's under $20 for a forward card, and his scores aren't that bad. Whenever you look at the other guys, he does put up some nice scores. If you look, it's further back. So the beginning of last season, he was putting up those higher scores, but he's not bad whatsoever. I know he had some low scores, and he is a little bit decisive dependent, but FC Dallas goes against Minnesota, who is without their talisman, Reynoso, and they have a lot of doubts as far as their lineup. I saw people are waiting for green cards. It just seems like they're kind of all over the place and spiraling, and FC Dallas, I think, could pound Minnesota United in the game week 1. They do have Galaxy at home again, at Whitecaps, home against Sporting, and they play in a tough West, but if you were looking for a little bit of FC Dallas exposure, you could definitely go worse with taking a guy that's probably going to get, if they score 3 goals, he's going to get an assist, in my opinion. He will be on the score sheet, and I do think that is kind of a steal as far as his limited. Forwards are more expensive, and I don't think people are really talking about him and having a really solid year. I think he benefits from Velasco on the left doing better. Jesus Ferreira, I don't know if he'll have the same goal pace that he did last year, but he's going to benefit from those other 2 guys playing well and FC Dallas being good. Then our last one, this was probably going to be one of the only times I recommend DC United. So they are in a good matchup against Toronto FC. I say a good matchup. They're not going to be in great matchups all season. I just wanted to touch on him. He is around $20. I prefer Arriola way over Funtas, but I think this is a great spot for him. I think Toronto is a lot better. But like I said, the travel, it's not a huge trip from DC to Toronto. But if you think they're Eastern teams, that's not a huge trip. That's still probably 8 hours. I think they'll fly, obviously. So it's a quicker flight. But I think the travel and the home field advantage is so big. So you might be surprised DC United win, draw, something like that. But taking a look at, let's just see when he's starting, and let's see his home. DC United was horrific last year. But whenever he was in the lineup and at home last season and not injured, take a look at these scores. His worst game was a 42. He had a couple lowers, all greater than 50. He had a 94, 91, 71, all really nice scores and a team that wasn't very good. Okay. I know he's very goal decisive, but look at his AAs as well. So another guy that's cheap right now that you can get. And I think you could go a lot worse options as far as these two guys. And whenever I was putting this list together, I was very surprised at some of these prices. I know MLS hasn't taken off. I know the market's down. But with these guys, you can make a team that is very cheap that legit has some upside, especially when I do think he's going to start, but he's listed as a sub. So he's cheaper. I know limiteds are kind of crazy right now, but you can put together a limited team for very cheap, especially playing some of these capped modes. You get Guzan at 0. You play some of your better guys. And yeah, so that's my bargain hunting MLS video for week 1. Hopefully you guys like this. Give me a like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more MLS content as well as more Sorare content. So thanks. See you next time.